where were you in 2017 as the district manager in your ability to lead and to foster culture? Like, what was the challenge then? Like, what were you trying, like, get back into that, like, mindset of what you were facing at that time?
Well, I've totally, changed over the years. So,
evolution. I love it.
Exactly. My style in 2017 is probably something that I would tell people maybe not to do now. But that's because, that's what I knew, that's what we were doing. That's what was working. It was very hands-on, maybe a little bit micromanaging. Everything needed to be a certain way and I wasn't empowering and trusting people the way that I do now to just make decisions and do what they need to do. But the company was also very small then too, so even though we were growing, we were all in the restaurants every single day. So it is kind of hard to let go, and something that I've learned, as you grow and enter new levels of leadership, you have to be able to let go and trust the people underneath you and give them the tools that they need to be successful, because you're never going to be able to do it all yourself.
So was it a challenge for you to let go? What was the specific challenge for your growth? What was the thing that was holding you back?
Yeah, definitely to let go, to feel okay with somebody else running the show in the restaurant.
And how did you get over that? Like, what things happened for you to be okay with it?
I think I just saw the success. I hired great people. I taught them, the right and wrong things to do, and just built genuine relationships with them so that they knew that they could ask me when things were wrong. I'd much rather have somebody raise their hand and say, hey, I'm not sure how to do this, or I think I made a mistake, right away, than sweep it under the rug and create bigger problems. So just creating that type of relationship with people to empower them gave me the confidence to be able to say, okay, other people can do this, so now I can focus on whatever else it is to focus on, which ultimately is just helping them, hopefully.
Yeah. When you give responsibility away, what is the thing that's keeping them on track from doing the job right, or keeping them doing the job right, I should say?
That's a great question. I think, timely feedback, lots of touch points, lots of communication, just to say that you're going to give someone more responsibility and elevate them into a new role. It doesn't mean that I'm going to stop talking to them, and stop being there as much as I have been. So trying to create that culture of, like, it's okay if I'm in your restaurant, you're not in trouble. We're hanging out. We're figuring out what's going right. We're figuring out what's going wrong, and just being vulnerable and honest and real. That's my style. And I think that encourages people to, like I said, you admit when they made a mistake and not feel like they're going to get in trouble, as long as we're learning from it.
Right. And creating that culture and establishing that, like, it will be worse if I find out about this later because something hit the fan. Right. Like, yeah. And if
let's
keep the stuff from hitting the fan.
That's the goal.
Like, just tell me when the stuff gets out, and then we'll put it back where it belongs. Right.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, the mistakes that we can make in our restaurant, they're going to be okay. Yeah. We're serving chicken fingers. We're in a fun place. We're interacting with customers. If you make a mistake, we can fix it. And I think giving people that just, like, sense of relief and confidence to know that it's going to be okay. Right. We're going to figure it out. As long as you tell me, I want everyone to be successful. Why wouldn't we just, get back on track together and make it right?
Yeah. Also creating a system for fixing problems.
Totally.
Like, if something happens, this is what you do. Like, there's a protocol for this.
Exactly.
Right?
And I've learned most of those, if that, then this, just through experience, and just having, again, that experience, say, oh, I've dealt with this before. You're going to be fine. Yeah. Here's what to do. And, creating more support, whether it's a tool that they can reference, or a tool they can use, or making a hire, of somebody who can teach somebody else new skills, or, for example, where my head is really like a human resources hire. If we hire people who have different skills, they can support the operations team to make better decisions and help jump in when help is needed. Yeah,
I think also just creating that safe space, being the leader you are, like you mentioned, you're vulnerable, transparent, honest. Were those the three things that you said? What happens when you are vulnerable, transparent, and honest? How does that affect the culture of the space?
I think it builds trust because people can see. I'm not afraid to admit that I don't know the answer. I'm not afraid to admit, let me get back to you. I need to kind of ask someone, what they think or look for advice. And it just I hope, it shows people that they can do that too. Right. And I think that a lot of time people, whether they're already in leadership positions or aspiring to be a leader, they feel like they have to have all of the right answers. And that's just not reality. You're not going to get the answers without the experience. So let's just go through the experience together and figure it out.
And why don't people usually bring things to you in like traditional sense, right? It's because of the backlash, the fear, the anxiety of like, I fucked up.
Exactly.
Like,
I honestly don't. I don't remember the last time I was like angry at someone. Yes, things happen and mistakes are definitely made. And there are times where I wish that things went differently, on whatever type of level. But staying calm, I think, through all of that and the good is what creates that safe space.
Nice. So anything that you want to talk about in terms of unpackaging and leading and developing culture, things that you think you do exceptionally well here at Stickies that we can try to recreate in our own business?
Yeah, I would love to talk about the belt. So recently we introduced this gold-plated, 4 or 5 pound wrestling belt. Nice. And
is it real gold? No. You can say yes.
Yes.
For all the people that work here, yes, it is. It's truly gold.
Take care of it. So we introduced this in the beginning of the year, and it's basically a way that we can acknowledge our best performing restaurant for the month. And it doesn't only mean financially. There's a lot of different decision factors that go into deciding who gets the belt.
What are those key KPIs?
We look at all different things every month. We look at employee turnover on the store level. We looked at your online scores, guest feedback, cleanliness of the restaurant, administrative, tasks. Are you putting your invoices in on time? Are you, doing your deposits, closing out the night correctly? So kind of everything that goes into just running a great restaurant.
They get scored.
Exactly. So we introduced this belt, in the beginning of the year, and it was the first time that we really started as a group looking at financials. So we started rolling it out, and it was really tied to financials. And the first one was kind of like the winner was a little bit shy, they didn't really know how to act, and it just evolved into this amazing experience where actually our last meeting for last month, we were going through the financials, and as we go through it, I try to give shout outs to everybody. I always say you don't need to be in the top performing restaurant, but if you're improving your own restaurant period over period, then that's success as well. So you could be, in the bottom performing restaurants out of all 14, but if you did better,
but relative to you
than your own self, you're still doing a great job. So I always try and give people that sort of recognition. And the winner of our belt, who I'd love to talk about a little bit more even, as I would call her out, she was, telling the rest of the group, I tell my team, we're going to bring home the belt. This is how we're going to bring home the belt. And I was like, wow, I didn't even realize, Exactly. See, it applies to everything. And, when I finally got to announce that she won the belt for her team, I was just so excited myself. And she stood up and she got emotional, and it made me emotional. I think it made everyone in the room emotional. And in that moment, I was like, wow, people really care. It could have been just like it's a silly little belt. It's very cool, but at the end of the day, it's a belt. I'll show you a picture of it. I was gonna
say, if you guys have any video of like people like holding the belt or anything,
yes,
I'd love to have that B-roll going.
100%, I will send you that.
Yeah.
So speaking of video, the belt is symbolic of just, being a great team and being a great restaurant, and you get to take it back to your restaurant, you display it, you keep it clean, however you want to do it.
Can you wear it behind the line?
You can wear it. Yes, I've seen people wear it around their waist. They're
shoulder.
washing tables. It's amazing. It's so awesome to see. And so we also have incorporated this video. We have so much fun. So we have our director of crew and culture. He does photography, a little bit of videography. I don't think he wants to travel, but on the side. And so he's really passionate about that. So the winning team of the belt gets to spend one whole day with him over the next month, where they get to decide, they get to make a video basically, and it could be anything. And they get to brainstorm, what they want to do, where they want to go, how they're going to do it, and he'll film whatever they want. And it's become even more of a thing than the belt of like, what's our video going to be? And then we post it, and just it's become a really great way to build, competitive a competitive edge into our culture while also just having really fun. You don't need to be competitive and be like, I'm going to beat you, you know, I'm going to get the belt. It's more of like, wow, I can't wait to get the belt, and we're going to make this great video, and everyone in the restaurant, you know, from back of house to front of house, management is just super proud to have it.
Is there a book on the power of having something like this? Like, where did you learn? Like, who had the idea that we should have a belt that we pass along to the stores?
I do have to give credit to Paul. Paul bought the belt. Paul had the belt, but there definitely, you know, are learnings behind having, you know, physical symbols throughout your culture.
That's Paul Tunerman.
Yes, Paul Tunerman. Yes.
Well, repeat guest on the show. Because as you're sharing the story about the belt, I can't help but think of like this trend in with football teams right now, college. I don't know if it's in the pros, but in college for sure. What they do is they have the chain, right? Whenever you make a big play or like you do something that's just like next level like play, like they just bring out this massive chain, right? That's like, it's a fake, like, you know, like thick, like blinged out.
Yeah, it's swag. Gives them the swag. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like it's a way to see and recognize people. And really, at the end of the day, I think all we all want to be is seen and recognized for our hard work. So when you can create ritual, and that's really what you're doing, is creating a ritual around seeing and recognizing people and just putting emphasis on it in a very real, genuine, authentic way. And I think that's the key. It can't just be like, get them the belt. Like,
no. Yeah. It has, you know, it's like a whole 40-minute thing leading up to it. And then it's a whole month-long celebration after it. So it's not just, here's the belt, you know, the winner of the belt from the previous month stands up and hands it over to the next month.
That's
so it's also, it's teamwork. Yeah, it's a ritual, it's teamwork. You're proud of the next person to have it, you know.
We think of strong cultures across the world. I'm saying like cultures like different like countries, you know, like they all have language. They all have rituals.
Exactly.
And when you can bake language, we're doing it, baby.
We're doing it, baby.
And rituals, you know, like into your organization, where like it becomes like a sense of identity and pride, and like that's just a great example of how to do that. What else? Anything else? I don't want to cut you short.
You know, I mean, that is definitely something that has been not just impactful at the cultural level. It really has driven great results also. You know, our restaurants perform better because people want to win this, you know, recognition and have their chance to do it. So it's kind of just improved the company overall. And I think another thing that I'd love to talk about is just the way that we are giving people feedback, and the way that we're training our teams to always have timely and authentic conversations with their team. We actually got rid of annual reviews at the end of last year, and we moved into a continuous coaching program.
What's it called?
It's called the Continuous Coaching Program.
is like where did you discover this?
Again, you know, this is something that Paul and I spoke about, you know, at length, and it's kind of like you have an annual review with someone, and first of all, in the restaurant industry, if someone makes it to a year, that's pretty rare.
Right.
So somebody can go, you know, their entire time at a restaurant and not get a review.
Feedback.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's probably why they're not there anymore. So we were really trying to figure out how we can change that, and how we can encourage our general managers and make it just feel more natural for them to make time to meet with their team more often.
So what does this program look like?
So we have a online form, basically. We made everything digital because, again, we really asked ourselves, how is our team going to use this? You know, a lot of times we'll have a tool or an idea and it sounds really great to us when we're, you know, sitting in the office or at lunch, and then
dreamland.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you roll it out and no one ever uses it. And then you ask yourself 3 months later, why isn't anybody using this? And it's because it's not helpful, or it's not easy for them to understand, or whatever it may be. So we actually rolled it. We did like a little beta test with our team and asked them, like, how do you feel about this form? Is it easy for you to follow? Can you use it? So now every 60 days, the general managers will fill out the form for every single one of their employees. And it's just a few quick questions. You know, how is this person performing? Are they meeting expectations? And then it asks you at the end to set a goal for them. You know, the goal can be anything from, I want this person to, you know, take the next step into leadership, or I want this person to learn how to make the strawberry lemonade. You know, it can be totally anything. And then you really describe how you're going to help this person accomplish this goal. And again, it just shows people that you can impact other people's lives in the most simple way, just by teaching them how to make the lemonade when they didn't know how to do that, gives them a new skill. If you're going to teach them how to become a leader, you know, that advances their career. And then after they take the time to put the thought into it and fill out the form, then they meet with their employee and go over it with them, and it actually has an empty space at the bottom for the team member to make comments and kind of tell us, how are you feeling? And what we see is most of the people are really just saying thank you. You know, thank you for taking the time into me. I'm excited to learn how to make the lemonade, or I can't wait to become a shift leader. And it was hard to get it going, but at the end of the day, a manager's, you know, top priority should be developing their people. Yes. And this just gives them the structure.
They're coaches.
Exactly.
Yeah, the structure. So it looks like this. There's a form that is it Google Docs? Google Forms?
Yes, it is.
Is it an actual document or like a Google form?
It's a Google form.
Google form. Each employee has their own form, right?
Yeah.
That form stays with them through their life cycle as an employee. In that form, you're measuring their ability. Are they meeting the expectations of the job? And are they setting a goal, and are they working towards that goal? What am I missing?
That's pretty much it.
And then it's every 60 days.
Yes.
So you revisit that form every 60 days. You're like what can you paint the picture of, like, if we want to recreate this, like, what am I missing in terms of, like?
So you're right to say that, you know, the form stays with the employee. You need to definitely be organized. The idea would be, like, let's say after your first conversation, it's the next 60 days. It's not a brand new form, right? You need to work off of what was said in your original conversation. So a general manager should go back into the file and say, how did my conversation go last month? Okay, now what has happened since then? And it should ultimately tell the whole story of that employee's life cycle, right, you know, from start to finish. And it should just build upon where they're going. And hopefully it ends with, you know, taking the next step into leadership, right, or, you know, being an extremely high performer. If that person doesn't want to step into leadership, that's okay. You know, you need to have people who are just fine where they are as long as they're high performers. And we're okay with that too. So I think, you know, to wrap it all up, it's just that you leave the conversations feeling like it's a fluid conversation, even though there's been 60 days between, and the employee feels like they are seen, and that they're cared for, that we're spending this time. You know, it's supposed to be undivided attention. It's you and I.
How long?
You know, it could be anywhere from 5 minutes to 25 minutes. And again, I think that goes to say there are some team members, they just want to come to Stickies, they want to do their work, and they want to leave, and we totally respect that, and we're grateful for them, and we need people like that. So that conversation might be much shorter than somebody who's working towards becoming a shift leader. You know,
right? Maybe it's like, hey, you know, we notice you're struggling engaging the guests,
right?
Like, here are some areas of improvement. Like, let's focus on that over the next 60 days, and like when you come back, like, we'll talk about how, like, I'll give you feedback and like all that stuff.
Exactly.
I think the other thing too is, like, if you do have somebody on your team who is a Jamie Greer, who wants to grow within the industry, and like John did for you when you were walking down the street, mm-hmm, hey, we're going to go in this direction. You can continue to do what you have been doing, or what else? Like, what growth do you want?
Exactly.
Like, what are you interested in? But you have to create the space and the time to probe and to find out what you have in your four walls already in terms of people and what they want and what their strengths are, and how you can grow exponentially without even having to bring on anybody new, right?
Yeah, and it goes back to what we were saying, you know, in the beginning of the conversation. A lot of people enter this industry and don't realize that they can make a career out of it. So during this time, you can really open the door to somebody who never even realized the potential that they had for themselves, and really change their life.